everybody, it's Julie, and today we're going to talk about how to set up immersion learning experiences, especially for your teenagers and older elementary students. We want to help them to learn through experiences and through actual relevant real life types of opportunities rather than contrived book-based learning only. Especially if you're following a more unschooled, relaxed type lifestyle. And sometimes we could feel a little bit challenged when our kids get a little older to how to do this, especially if you don't live on a farm, if you're not road schooling. How do you do this so that your child can learn through life also? Because it is a little bit easier to unschool when you farm or you're a homesteader or you are road schooling. It's just sort of a way of life that way. But I live in the city and there are some opportunities for that, but I have to really work a little bit harder to set these kinds of things up. And I'm here to help you to set these things up too. If you live in an apartment or you live near a city, or maybe you just don't, you're just not a farm type person or are not doing some of these other learning through life style type of things. So how do you set these things up for your teenagers especially? So the first thing is to take a look at your museums. So check into the education programs at museums. Many of them have programs set up specifically for homeschoolers and especially for teenagers. We're talking about volunteering at the museum, like as a docent or working with one of the scientists that's at the museum. Sometimes they're willing to take on an apprentice type person to come around and help them with the exhibits and to help educate the public about what's there. So that's a good place to start. So sometimes they have internships. If you live near a large city, you may even have access to fabrication labs through your museum. You may also have like junior science cafes or learning labs where your child can go in and have experiences, say, like a doctor and be learning about pulmonary health through a dummy that's very much like a human being and being able to practice some of these things that a doctor might, or doing some CSI type activities with dead pigs, or different things like that. So you could they have opportunities for teenagers that are not open to younger kids, and they don't always make these things super public. So it's good to ask. And sometimes, even if they don't have a public program, if you're asking, they may be willing to work with you on a one-to-one basis, especially smaller independent museums where you can just kind of get to know people and they're willing to work with you in that regard. Sometimes you can take a look at missions trips. That is another opportunity that you can look at, where your teen can go with your church or through a youth organization to work in another country. And one thing I will caution with that is that it's important to try to go with your church or your friend's church rather than just finding youth ministries online or that you may have heard of. Sometimes things are not always as they seem, so it's always good to double check. But going on the church missions trips or through your local youth organization that your child has already been part of, say if they're part of some kind of a scouting type thing, that can be a great opportunity for them to explore and to help other people and serve them, and at the same time learning about a new culture. So that can also be a great opportunity. Working with local businesses and veterinarians. Independent businesses are very often open to working with teens, teaching them about what they do, or if your teen already has some skills, say with computers, they're willing to work with them to give them a little bit of opportunity as long as they're willing to work as an apprentice for free. But they learn as they help. And so it can be a mutually beneficial arrangement. Some businesses are willing to do that. My oldest daughter, she had an opportunity to work with an independent veterinarian, and she got access to the whole back end of the veterinarian's office, got to witness a surgery on cats. On one of the cats, she got to shadow the veterinarian on visits with pet owners and talking with them about the illnesses that their cats had. She got to take care of the cats that were boarded there. So there were a lot of opportunities. But I do encourage you to work with independent businesses in your local area because there's often more opportunity there than, say, a larger organization such as like PetSmart or Petco. She wouldn't have gotten the same opportunity because the policies are nationwide over all of those pet stores rather than an independent person being able to make decisions for their own personal business. So I would encourage that also. That can be another immersive opportunity, and it gives your teen job experience because even if they weren't paid, it's still job experience. And they can use that person as a reference. It's really a great way to explore career possibilities, hone their skills, and give back to local businesses and develop some references in the community. So, if you live near a university, sometimes professors will be willing to take on your older teen, mostly like 16 to 18-year-olds, your older teen as an assistant or an intern or like an apprentice to their research. Sometimes you have to ask though and demonstrate that you know a little something about what they're doing and that you have a genuine interest in what they're doing because they're not there to babysit your teen, of course, and they want to be sure that they're not going to be a hindrance to their research, but rather a help. And also, why would they take your teen on instead of one of the college students? So sometimes you need to do a little bit of digging and look into the departments and things that are on your campus and what kinds of research those professors are doing and see if your teen might be interested in something like that and know a little something about it already. So it does help to make some of those connections as well, because again, you have a reference. You get a little exposure to what people are doing in real life science or history types of settings, and you get exposure to that, and it can also possibly give them a little bit of an in when it comes to whether or not they might like to apply to that university. So those can also be great opportunities. Other ones, if your child really enjoys nature, working with plants and animals out in nature, if you live near a natural area, sometimes you can also you can also work with forest preserves, nature centers, things like that, as a volunteer or a docent with some training and really get deep with those ecosystems, habitats, and the plants and animals that live there. And that can be a great opportunity too. And it can count as science because it is science. So that is another opportunity. It's not just about woods, it can also be about wetlands, and it can be about rivers, oceans, lakes, deserts. There's all kinds of natural areas and preserves that people work in and are very knowledgeable about, and they would just love to have your mature teen, come in and learn about those things with them. Now, there are some other ways that you can get some of those experiences. And that's usually through service and volunteering with various organizations in your community. They're always looking for volunteers, and usually they'll take somebody who's over 16 years old. Sometimes with a parent, they'll take someone as young as 12. So ask around with the different organizations. Usually food pantries will take younger people, nursing homes and other settings where you're working directly with people. You usually need to be a little bit older unless you're with the parent. So that's something else to consider. Tutoring, you could do tutoring. There's crisis pregnancy clinics, there's nursing homes, food shelters, as I mentioned, all those kinds of things. Rescue shelters for animals, the parks, caring for the plants and gardens in the parks. A lot of those things, they're always looking for volunteers. And if your child's the right age, they can do those things. And those too are learning experiences. And of course, they look great on their transcript. So other things that they could do that are real world experiences are things like craft fairs and opening an Etsy shop or creative marketplace if they know something about digital types of designs, working in 4-H, doing some 4-H types of activities. Those are some other ways that teens can kind of get into more real world relevant learning. And the more of those kinds of things that they do, the more they build confidence, the more they build experience, connections, networking, all those things that help them to transition well into adulthood and helps them know themselves better and what it is that they want to be doing with themselves as they get older as well and move towards independence. So take those things, and I hope that's helpful to you. And make some comments about anything that maybe I missed or that you've seen in your area that might help others. That would be great. And like this video and make sure you subscribe to make sure that you don't miss any future videos. And check the description for a free gift for you. Okay, thank you.